If over the last few years you've been listening to journalists and people who write in car magazines, that is a journalist, you'd have been told that the A6 doesn't drive very well. In fact, you'd have heard words like numb, uninteresting and boring, not as good as. It's not true though, and Audi are very angry.
And here's the result, the 50 TFSI E, a much better A6. Better at driving, connecting and being, well, plugged in. My mission? To explore how much better.
Now, before we get you really excited, because I have a feeling you're going to really like this, can you afford one? Well, the answer to that is possibly yes, because if you have a look at this typical deal, it's a little bit cheaper than PCP, and you don't have to be a business to lease either. You just give the car back at the end. Have a look at that.
That being the starting price for a diesel, this plug-me-in version is reassuringly more expensive. That's because list, it's 60,000 of your great British pounds, but cost has never really bothered people who love Audi, and it won't now. Yes, it will. Anyway, the improvements. Number one, the lack of noise in the cabin.
I think some of that is to do with the fact that it's a plug-in hybrid and it's using the engine and the battery at the same time. So you never really know whether the engine is running, which is a nice feature. But actually the road noise is down and the wind noise is down. They've done that aerodynamically and also by making adjustments to the wing mirrors. I'd actually like to see whether this is as quiet as an A8. The A8 is probably a bit quieter, but probably not by much. You could say this is flagship levels of quietness for a non-flagship car. That is something you can't say about the 5 Series. Incidentally, talking about the wing mirrors, very nice lane departure warning on there, which is very easy and clear to see. And you also get a red warning as part of the interior light pack lights up down there. I'd like to introduce you to this, the beautiful shifter. There's not enough good shifters around at the moment. This is lovely. I don't like the Golf one. The more modern cars get, eventually there may not even be a shifter because they won't have gearboxes. There's your cup holders. Extremely well engineered these are, so when you get your Starbucks and you lift it out, you'll have the lid off there. You've got to be careful how you do that. You know about these screens, obviously. There's 1, 2, 3. Virtual cockpit, which you can customize. We know about the virtual cockpit, Howard. Okay. Here's your heating. And then you've got hotkeys down here for radio, and then all of the main controls here, interior light and so on. Reverse camera is all there. This armrest is very nicely engineered as well. Wherever you leave it, it kind of stays. And then lifting it, it's like a bent over row, that is. Wireless charging, very nice. SD SIM and 2 USBs in there. Oh yes, hang on, listen to this. Hours of engineering has gone into making that thud just right. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it is really beautiful in here. I can't fault this interior at all. We need to find a negative. Yes, these pedals. I like the fact that they are made of a metal. Even the footplate, very good quality. You've got a lovely little cubby hole down here. Anyway, the point is to be negative, and that is that this brake pedal is higher than the accelerator. For me, that took a bit of getting used to, because instead of just braking going across like that, you have to lift your foot up and over. And that would be something that, if this was my car, I'd be going, is that Audi? Yeah, Mr. Rich here. Yeah, car's coming in, mate.
If you want to spend even more money with Audi, that is entirely possible because there's now an air suspension option for the A6, which this doesn't have. This is old-fashioned springs, which in the past made it much easier for some people to choose a 5 Series or an E-Class.
But not anymore, because this now feels like a much more balanced system. If you have been an Audi fan and you like the way that they are firm, don't get me wrong, this is still a firm car. But it's done in such a better way. There is zero body roll. You cannot make this car, and it's just very strange. If I change direction, what seems to happen is the car, sharply, the car will dip like this and then almost dampen itself. It's as if I swerve, see, there's nothing. That is really good. Moving on to steering, this too has been tweaked. I was just checking if there was a dead spot here, but I think that is just the assistance. It's very light when it needs to be and then stiffens up when you're going at speed. And the good thing about this is it almost feels like you're on a ride. It's so good at getting into a corner sharply and throwing you into your seat. Speaking of seats, you need to watch this side. What do you call that? Is that a bolster? That will have your ribs. You've got to find a sort of a way of getting in without it giving you a body shock. Little warning.
That, being a negative, will delight people who think that sometimes all we do is adverts. Another one might be the handwriting. Even though you can draw boobs and willies on it, which is hilarious, it's not something I would probably use. Stating the obvious, another negative is the cost of the options. And sometimes they package them together, giving you things you might not want. But there is one or two worth a look.
To give you an example, this one has the Comfort and Sound Pack. That costs £2,229. That includes keyless go. Actually, the windows go up and down with the keys, which is very nice. BMWs do that. In fact, most cars do that nowadays, but some don't, and it's annoying because we're very used to it. You get interior light pack, you get automatic parking, our 16-speaker sound system from Bang & Olufsen, plus you get the 360 camera. So, let's say you've got your 21-inch wheels, you go into reverse. Look at this. Look at the clarity of that. So you've got rear view, which I'm going to show you now, and then you've got 3D, which is a little image of the car. If you ruin your 21-inch wheels with this system, then you're a worse driver than me. Now we'll have a different camera angle. Look at that. The only thing I really like, is probably asking too much, is to have the colour of the car that you've chosen. That's amazing. And now look at this. Now you can see, look at the different angles. I don't know what that's supposed to be. That's unusual. What is that? Oh, that's the back wheels. Oh, that is so good. Oh, one more thing I do want to show you actually is a nice little feature. Imagine if you're going along and then you pull off and want to get out. Watch this. Just the small things. Engine off, handbrake on.
Your mobile phone is still in the vehicle.
The things you have come to love and expect from Audi are still there, but now there are some improvements. For the best looking one, you might go for something like this with the enormous 21-inch wheels, but then you'd need the air suspension, which you can't get on this car. A difficult choice then between handsome car or protecting the beautiful creatures of our environment.
This is about as close as it gets to being night mode, but it is still worth showing you. The darker it is, the better it looks. So it isn't going to look quite as it will when you're on a dark country road with the extremely bright Audi LED lights. Even the standard lights are extremely bright. You can see them during the day. You've got the different colours obviously, and this area here is lit. Even the Quattro is lit, and here and also under this strip of aluminium here there's a little bit of a light too, and even the volume control here has a light on it as well. Good news in the boot, this has 530 litres of space. An A8, which is £11,000 list more, has 505. Yes, what do you want, more boot space or more legroom? In fact, actually, this is only 233 millimetres shorter than the A8, so people saying that it's a mini A8 is, what's that? It's only about that. Anyway, the quality of this is just beautiful. You have a 12 volt here. These hold down hooks, that's what I'm going to call them now, hold down hooks. The quality of that is incredible. Here is your cable management system, which I don't really want to ruin because it's got proper rock climbers clips on it and everything, and I bet when I open this it's going to be really tidy. I have got to charge it at some point, and I suspect you'd want to charge yours as well. Obviously it's not a hybrid, it's a plug-in hybrid, so this gives you about 30 miles of range on its own. You've got various, look at all these different plugs, it's good, isn't it? Hairdryer, no? Okay, fair enough. There we go, that is very lovely. And then when you close this boot down, have a look at this, come on. Is that not the nicest looking car? rear end for this kind of money in the world. I love the folds here, which with a different colour, they look better. These indicators that do this is the nicest car to follow on the motorway. I even like these what they call fake exhausts, you know. I don't care, on a car like this, I don't need to see the exhaust. If I want to see the exhaust, I'll go to Quick Fit.
Soon, we won't even have exhausts. But if you like looking at them, here are two beautiful ones. Just look at the absolutely. Anyway, consumption. So, fully charged, this will do 34 miles in EV mode, which might be enough for some people to never see a petrol pump again. For others, the MPG tells a different story.
I'm just looking now what we're doing because I haven't charged this. I've run out of charge. So I'm now just using the 4-cylinder 2-litre engine, 24 miles to the gallon. Yeah, you're going to want to charge it up. But there are people who go on the forums and they've got these plug-in hybrids and they get incredible miles to the gallon. I've got 97.38 miles to the gallon this week. The other thing about having it charged, of course, is the fact that you get that lovely whir. It's just nice. And there's a little mode called e-tron mode as well, to make you feel even more modern.
Even though it has 300 horsepower when the battery and the 2-litre petrol engine work together, it doesn't feel particularly fast. That might be because it weighs over 2 tons. That's a lot. But considering that, they've done a very good job with this. In fact, so much so that for the first time the A6 sits exactly alongside all of its rivals and is maybe even better than at least one.